I have 5 thriller authors today to recommend to you that you might not have heard of, so let's get into it. Hi, I'm Lacey. I love to read. Thanks for coming to my channel. I love lots of different genres. One of my favorites is thrillers, and I'm really excited to come out with this video today about 5 thriller authors that you might not have heard of. Obviously, you might have. However, these are authors that I kind of found randomly when I was just searching through books that were available to me. And so I figured I'd share with you all these authors because I enjoyed their books enough to zoom right through it. And I also wanted to say that I have my Bindery page is now published, and so you can follow me on there. Bindery is a really cool platform. It is both a publishing house and also a social media platform that is made for bookish community members and people who love books. So I was really excited when I got the chance to become a tastemaker. And so I have my own page. It's on Bindery. It's under laceread, just like it is here. And there are 2 different levels to my profile. So you can be the free subscription, which will have a lot of the content that you see here, but also some special content that's just for Bindery, like specific book reviews, which I'm excited to share there, and more real-time talk about the books that I'm reading. And then there is the next tier that is a membership that will include weekly book journal prompts and also a monthly book club. So there'll be 3 different book clubs, hopefully: thriller, historical fiction, and romance. So go follow me on there so that we can get this book club started. I'm really excited and I'm really grateful for the community that we have here, and I'm really excited to continue that and deepen it on Bindery. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So the first author that I have is Jenna Kernan, and Jenna Kernan is a really fun thriller author. She makes domestic thrillers that are very twisty and fast-paced, and I have read 2 of her books, and she has 5 thrillers total. So the 2 books that I've read by Jenna Kernan are The Adoption. This book was 392 pages, and I rated it 3.75 stars. This book is about a woman named Danny, and Danny gets into an accident, and that accident makes her unable to have children. However, when she ends up formally adopting a child with her husband, some truths come out about what really happened in that accident. And I thought it was just so engaging that it caused me to pick up another book by her, which was The Ex-Wives, which I rated 4 stars, and this book was 371 pages. So this book was about a woman named Elena, and Elena is in an abusive marriage to Jackson. And as she starts uncovering some secrets about him, she learns that he has 2 ex-wives. So of course she goes to investigate and finds out that both of these ex-wives, when they went to leave him, their daughters went missing. And so she has to decide if it's worth it to leave him and risk something happening to her daughter and to try to uncover what happened to the other 2 daughters. Her books are so twisty. They're very, very intense at times, which I love. I love a crazy thriller. However, I think that she tells a very compelling story, and I liked it enough to go pick up another book. So I figured I would share her with you. And then moving on to the next author, I have Charlie Donlea. This author I've definitely seen in more places than the previous author. However, I have read 2 books by this author, and he has 9 books total. So the 2 books that I've read, the first one I actually read before I read his more popular book, which is 20 Years Later. I actually read The Girl Who Was Taken first, and that kind of introduced me to him. This book was 340 pages, and I rated it 4.25 stars. So this book was about 2 girls who were taken when they were in high school, Megan and Nicole. Megan and Nicole, their senior year, got kidnapped. And luckily 1 year later, Megan escaped, and she escaped from this bunker and told her story and became a media sensation. All the while, Nicole is still missing. And so Nicole's sister is a forensic pathologist, and so she starts connecting a few cases to what has happened with her sister and what they could figure out from Megan. So Megan ended up writing a book, and so Nicole's sister was using that as her reference to try and figure out what happened to her sister. And then the next book by Charlie Donlea that I read, like I said, was 20 Years Later. This one I found on Book Talk, so I know that this is definitely more popular. This book is about a newscaster who is trying to solve a decades-old mystery because some DNA from a victim from 9/11 was identified. So Charlie Donlea's books are very fast-paced, they have long timelines, and they typically involve some sort of law, forensics, or court systems. So they're very interesting and you will be hooked. The next author I have is Leslie Wolfe, and I've only read 1 book by her, and she has 29 books. But the one I read really hooked me, and I know that if I go to any of her other books, I'll definitely enjoy them. So the first book and only book that I read by Leslie Wolfe was The Surgeon, and this is about a surgeon who's never lost a patient until she finally does, and it turns out that she knows the patient that died. So that really hooked me when I read that. And just from that book, I knew her writing was super engaging, fast-paced. It was a very solid psychological thriller. The next author that I have is Nicholas Sanders, and this author had a really popular book called Don't Let Her Stay. She's only written 3 books. I've read 2 of them, and I actually read a different book by her before I read this really popular one, Don't Let Her Stay. So the first book I read was actually All the Lies. It was 215 pages and I rated it 4 stars. So this book was about Amy, and Amy was really trying to escape her life, and she ends up going on this cruise. And while she's on this cruise, she meets her doppelganger named Liz. Her and Liz form a strong friendship, and then Liz goes missing and there's an accident. And everyone thinks that Amy is Liz. And so Amy takes this opportunity to get away from her life. And it's not really that simple. It was so good. And then when I saw the next book, Don't Let Her Stay, getting really popular, it was very popular for polarizing reasons. Like, some people loved it and some people hated it. It infuriated a lot of people, myself included. However, it was really engaging and kept me going. So like I said, it's Don't Let Her Stay. It was 283 pages and I rated it 4.75 stars. So this book is about Joanne, and she loves her life. She loves her marriage to Richard. She loves her baby Evie, and everything is going well until Richard's 21-year-old daughter shows up and jumps right back into their life. And as you could probably guess, they don't get along. And it was very infuriating, and I understand why everyone was so annoyed by it, but it was really good. And then the last author I have is Minka Kent. I love Minka Kent's thrillers. I've read 6 of her thrillers, and there are 15 in total, and I have been hooked for all of them. While all of them might not be 5-star reads, I really enjoyed reading all of them. So the first one that I read was The Memory Watcher. This book was 338 pages and I rated it 3.75 stars. So this is about Autumn, and Autumn's daughter gets adopted, and she starts stalking the adoptive family on social media until one day they go radio silent and they delete their platforms, and she cannot handle that she has lost this tie to her daughter. So she decides to apply to be a nanny for her daughter without them knowing that she is her biological mother. So very twisty, very intense. I feel like if you like really intense and like kind of outlandish thrillers, Minka Kent is gonna be there for you. I love that type of thriller, and so she was right up my alley. So then I continued on with The Stillwater Girls. This is a 5-star read for me. This book was 273 pages. Like I said, 5 stars. And it is about, honestly, 3 sisters, and one of them gets sick, so their mother takes them from their little shack in the woods and takes her to go get better. However, they never come back. And so the 2 sisters have to venture outside of their shack for the first time in their lives, being hidden away, and a lot of their life feels like a lie. It was so good. Kept me going, and I just kept going on this Minka Kent journey. So then I read Gone Again, which was a 4-star read. It was 239 pages. So this book is about Celia, and Celia is having an amazing 40th birthday until someone writes a note that she does not deserve anything that she has. And then the next day she vanishes, and a lot from her childhood starts being uncovered. Once again, super engaging. It will get you hooked, and then you'll just want to move on to the next one, which for me was The Thinnest Air. So this book was 4 stars for me, and it was 286 pages. So this book is about Meredith, and Meredith has this amazing life with this perfect husband and amazing stepchildren, and then one day she vanishes into thin air from a grocery store. And so everyone is so confused on what's going on and how she could just vanish out of nowhere. And then her sister Greer comes, and a lot is uncovered about Meredith. And they really have to think, does anyone really know who she is? Which then brought me on to another Minka Kent book, which was The Perfect Roommate. This book was another 4-star read. It was 258 pages, and it's about 2 roommates who think they know everything about each other, but then they don't really realize that one roommate knows all of the other secrets. I was hooked. Honestly, this one was more vague. Like when I went into it, it was more vague, which is why I'm leaving it vague for you, but honestly, a really solid thriller. Then I moved on to When I Was You. This book was 282 pages and I rated it 4 stars once again. Really solid thrillers, honestly. 4 stars, like I just enjoyed them and got through them really quickly. So this book is about Brienne, and Brienne had a really horrible attack. So she is confined to her home. And then one day finds out that someone is literally being her. They have her name, her life, her family, and is pretending to be her to a T. So she has to brave the world again and figure out what's going on. And then the last book that I read by Minka Kent was Unmissing. This book was 252 pages and I rated it 4.75 stars. So this book was about a woman who decides to open her door, and lo and behold, the woman who is standing at her door is her husband's ex-wife. seems normal until you realize that she's been missing for 10 years. So you just go on this crazy journey to figure out what happened and where she's been for the past 10 years. It's really good. So Minka Kent honestly is like the queen of like quick, under 300 page thrillers that are just so intense and honestly kind of outlandish at times, but so good. And honestly, I will continue to read books by her, and I need to get down that list. But those are the books that I have for you today and the thriller authors that I was really excited to share with you. I'm really excited to connect more on Bindery and also to talk more in the comments here about some thriller authors that I might not know that I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for coming to my channel and being a part of this little community that we're starting to make. And I really appreciate you being here and watching my videos, and I hope that the books that you read bring you joy.